We are ready to talk about directions for review and preview 5.1.2. For question 13, it says use a portions web to rewrite each decimal as a percent, a fraction, and with words. So for parts A through D, you've got to make sure you're showing me the fraction, the decimal, the percent, the words or pictures in the middle. Make sure you've got all of the arrows where they belong, and make sure you've got all four parts there for A, B, C, and D. On question 14, it says find each of the parts of parts described below. For all four of those, basically they're wanting us to multiply. Even on parts A and C, when it says the word of, that's still an indication that we're supposed to find the product and multiply. It also asks you to create a diagram that demonstrates your thinking. So with your diagram, like we talked about in our lesson here, make sure that one of your fractions is modeled vertically and the other one is modeled horizontally. So maybe vertical first and shade, then horizontal first and shade what's appropriate. Make sure you're looking for the parts that overlap. Where does the shading overlap? That gives me the numerator part of my answer. And then how many pieces are there total altogether? That will be your denominator. And make sure that your answer from your model matches the answer that you found from your multiplication. Question 15, the directions say to simplify each expression. Again, the word simplify just really means that I'm supposed to find out what it equals. Some things to keep in mind, particularly with part A, you have to do exactly what it says inside the absolute value symbols first. So -5 plus -1, then you find the absolute value of that to get your answer. Part B would mean the opposite of the absolute value of 2 times 4. So I would have to multiply first, find that absolute value, and then find the opposite. Part C says 3.5 times the absolute value of -8. So I have to start by finding the absolute value of -8, then multiply by 3.5. Part D reads 3 times the absolute value of 8. Find the absolute value first and multiply. Part E says 5.6 minus the absolute value of -5.6 plus 11.2. So you're going to have to add inside the absolute value symbols first. Take the absolute value of what you get and then take that away from 5.6. Part F, you're going to have to subtract first, find the absolute value, and that's all there will be for part F. For question 16, we have to write an algebraic expression for each of these to represent the length of the rope that's shown from the diagram. Much like you've seen before, your expression can literally be this plus this plus this plus this, or if you're comfortable enough and it's easier for you, you can combine some parts there to make it the simpler version, your choice. But I'm looking to see expressions for A, B, and C simply based on the diagram. Then it's asking you to take those expressions and evaluate them. They will tell you what the variable equals, and your job, my apologies. It will tell you what the whole thing equals, and you use that to find the value of the variable. So for part A, if the whole length of the rope is 25 feet, you've got to figure out what does n equal. There we go. Question 17. If it's a mixed number, I have to change it to an improper fraction. And if it's an improper fraction, I have to change it to a mixed number. So for parts A and C, I'm going to start with denominator times the whole number, and I add on the numerator. That gives me the numerator of my improper fraction, and then my denominator will stay the same. For parts B and D, those are already fractions greater than 1, or improper fractions, and I have to change those to mixed numbers. So I have to decide how many times does the denominator go into the numerator. That's going to give me the whole number part of my mixed number. Then I've got to see how much is left over. That gives me the numerator, and then my denominator will stay the same.